In the quiet village of Umiuk, where the morning cockcrow echoed across red earth compounds, a boy named Uchenna was born. His birth was greeted with both joy and deep expectation. He was the son of Ikizi, the most feared and respected native doctor in the region. For generations, the men in Uchenna's family had served the village deities, offering sacrifices, interpreting strange signs, and protecting the community with charms whispered from the ancestors. From the moment Uchenna could walk, the villagers assumed his path was already carved. People often said, the son of a lion must learn to roar. His father taught him the secret of leaves, the language of the shrine, and the rituals that had been passed down. At night, Uchenna watched as flames danced around the sacred hut while his father communed with spirits unseen. Yet Uchenna's heart was different. Even as a boy, he felt a quiet stirring whenever he heard the village church bell. Something within him longed for a light that felt purer than the flickering fire of the shrine. Sometimes he would sneak near the church's open windows and listen to the simple songs rising from the congregation. Uchenna never spoke of it, but he felt torn between destiny and desire, between the darkness he inherited and a light he did not yet understand. His father constantly reminded him, "Your blood is tied to the altar. You cannot escape what you were born into." But destiny had already begun to stir. As Uchenna grew older, the conflict within him deepened. He learned the ways of the shrine well, how to mix potions, read omens, and appease ancestral spirits. But the more he learned, the more restless he became. There were nights when he could not sleep, nights when he felt a strange peace fall upon him like a gentle breeze, whispering that there was more to life than altars built from fear. One Sunday morning, when he was 16, Uchenna heard a voice inside him urging, "Go to the church." At first he resisted. His father had warned him countless times never to step inside. But the voice persisted until he found himself walking toward the small white-painted building at the village square. The moment he stepped in, he felt something shift. The singing washed over him like cool water. The preacher spoke of a God who loved without condition, whose power was greater than any ancestral spirit. Uchenna felt tears on his cheeks, something he had never experienced in the shrine. He left quietly, but the encounter stayed with him. The next Sunday, he went again. And again. Until one day, he whispered, "God, if you are real, show me." That night, he dreamt he was standing between two mountains, one covered in darkness, the other glowing with brilliant light. A hand reached out from the light and said, "Choose." For the first time in his life, Uchenna realized he had a choice. But choosing would come at a price. When Uchenna finally told his father he wanted to follow the living God, the atmosphere in their compound changed instantly. Ikizi's calm face twisted into shock, then fury. "You will not bring disgrace to this family," he shouted. "Our ancestors chose you before you were born." "I choose God," Uchenna replied quietly. The words echoed like a thunderclap. Ikizi forbade him from visiting the church. He seized all his books, burned his notebooks, and ordered him to spend his nights inside the shrine to remind him of his heritage. But the more Uchenna was forced into darkness, the more his conviction grew. One night, while tending the shrine fire, he whispered a simple prayer. "God, help me." Suddenly, the flames flickered wildly and went out. Uchenna felt a calm presence surround him, not frightening, but warm. He knew instantly that God had answered him. The next morning, Uchenna told his father he would no longer serve the shrine. This time, Ikizi did not shout. He laughed bitterly. "If you walk away, Uchenna, the spirits will fight you. Life will punish you. Nothing good will follow you again." But Uchenna stood firm. "If God is with me, I fear nothing." And so, with nothing but his faith and a quiet courage, he walked away from the generational altar, breaking a chain that had held his lineage for centuries. The village watched, whispering in disbelief. But heaven had begun to rewrite his story. The days after Uchenna's decision were filled with hardship. His father refused to speak to him. His mother cried often, torn between love for her son and fear of the spiritual consequences. Some villagers avoided him, whispering that he had invited curses upon himself. Strange things began to happen. His father's shrine materials mysteriously spoiled. Charms that had worked for years lost their potency. Clients complained that their problems worsened instead of improving. Ikizi grew frustrated and blamed Uchenna. "You have angered the spirits," he shouted. Uchenna felt the weight of it all, yet he refused to return. Instead, he spent nights praying, asking God for strength. He joined the youth fellowship, where he was welcomed warmly, a stark contrast to the fear-filled world he had left behind. But the battles grew tougher. He fell sick for days, his body weak and trembling. The village elders suggested traditional remedies, but he refused them. "I will trust God," he kept saying, even when he could barely stand. One night, during his sickness, he had another dream. He saw ropes tied around him, ropes with the faces of his ancestors carved into them. A bright light descended, burning the ropes until they snapped. A voice whispered, "You are free." When he woke up, his fever was gone. From that day, Uchenna knew his journey would not be easy, but he also knew that the power of God was fighting for him. And slowly, things began to shift. With time, Uchenna regained his strength. He began helping the church with small tasks, sweeping the compound, arranging benches, and assisting the youth leader. His humble nature and unwavering faith caught the attention of many villagers. Children flocked to him, drawn by his gentle spirit. Some elders who had once avoided him now secretly asked him to pray for their families. They had seen something different in him, a peace that did not come from charms or incantations. Uchenna noticed something too. Whenever he prayed, he felt a strange boldness, as though strength poured into him. He would pray for sick children, worried mothers, and troubled farmers. Many began testifying that things improved shortly after. Word spread. A woman whose farm had been barren suddenly harvested bountifully after Uchenna prayed. A young boy plagued by nightmares slept peacefully for the first time in months. Even the town drunkard swore he felt warmth enter his chest when Uchenna prayed for him. These small miracles brought hope to the village, hope that came not from fear, but from faith. Of course, not everyone was pleased. Some traditionalists murmured that Uchenna was using new spirits to fight the old ones. Ikizi watched from afar, his heart torn. His son's influence was growing, something he had once desired, but not in this way. Still, Uchenna kept walking in the light he had found. For the first time in Umuok, the people began to see a different kind of power, one that uplifted instead of enslaved. Just when peace seemed to settle, a strange illness swept through Umuok. Children were the most affected, coughing violently, running high fevers, and growing weak overnight. The villagers panicked, believing the gods had been angered. Many ran to Ikizi's shrine for help, but his charms had lost their former potency. He tried everything he knew, yet nothing changed. Fear tightened its grip on the community. One evening, a mother ran to Uchenna's hut crying, "My daughter is dying. Please, pray." Uchenna followed her, but his heart raced. He had prayed for many before, but this felt different. The little girl lay motionless, her breathing shallow. He knelt beside her and whispered, "God, please. Show this village that you are the true healer." As he prayed, an incredible calm filled the room. The child's breathing eased. A moment later, her eyes fluttered open. Word spread like wildfire. Soon, villagers gathered outside Uchenna's house with sick children. He prayed for them, one by one. Some recovered immediately, while others gradually improved. For the first time, Umuok saw what true divine intervention looked like. That night, the church was filled to overflowing. Even those who had mocked Uchenna came to thank him. But in the shadows of his shrine, Ikizi sat alone, confused and broken. "How can this be?" he whispered. "How can my son do what I cannot?" For the first time, he wondered if perhaps Uchenna was right, perhaps there truly was a God greater than the ancestral spirits. After Uchenna's faith began shaking the entire village of Akonoma in Ghana, rumors spread that his power was not just spiritual, but blood-based. One night, while cleaning the broken altars, Uchenna found a sealed god buried deep beneath the shrine floor. His name was carved on it. Fear gripped him. His mother, Memebie, walked in and froze. She confessed a long-kept scandal. Ikizi is not your real father. You were born after I was assaulted during a strange ritual forced on me by the former chief priest. He wanted a powerful heir. You were marked for darkness before birth. Uchenna felt his world collapse. His whole life had been a war he never signed up for. But now, he understood. He wasn't just breaking a generational curse. He was fighting a destiny that was never meant to be his. The village celebrated Uchenna. But not everyone supported him. His childhood best friend, Kojo, secretly jealous of his new influence, made a pact with a rival shrine in the next village. They promised Kojo power and wealth if he could destroy Uchenna's rising reputation. Kojo leaked a rumor. Uchenna uses hidden charms. His miracles are tricks from the very spirits he claims to reject. Doubt poisoned the village. Some people stopped greeting him. Even church members whispered behind his back. And worst of all, the chief priest who originally cursed Uchenna's lineage returned, furious that his ritual child had escaped. During the annual Homongo festival, the chief priest confronted Uchenna in front of the entire village. Kojo stood proudly beside the priest. Lightning cracked the sky. Drums froze mid-beat. Everyone held their breath. The chief priest shouted, "This boy belongs to the gods. His destiny is mine to finish." He struck his staff to the ground. And Kojo suddenly screamed, collapsing. The ritual Kojo secretly participated in had backfired, turning on him instead. It exposed his betrayal publicly. The chief priest tried to attack Uchenna again. But a powerful force like wind and blazing light surrounded the young man. The chief priest's staff snapped into dust. Every charm he wore turned cold. Terrified, he ran, never to return. The whole village fell to their knees. Light had won, and everyone saw it clearly. Ikizi, who had once served the old powers, knelt before Uchenna with tears streaming down his face. "Forgive me. I raised you to fear what was trying to destroy you. You are stronger than your past." The shame that had weighed on Ikizi's shoulders lifted. For the first time, he embraced his son as a chosen vessel of hope. People from Accra, Kumasi, Cape Coast, Tokorodi, curious and amazed, traveled to Akonoma to see the young man who broke the ancient curse. Uchenna used the attention to start something big. Pushpin the Light Bearers movement. A youth group teaching courage, purpose, and freedom from fear. Instead of controlling people, Uchenna empowered them. No more shrines. No more fear. No more inherited battles. Years later, the village gathered to honor Uchenna as the son who rewrote his destiny. Masquerades danced, now as cultural joy, not spiritual slavery. Families who were once divided laughed together. The land prospered. Uchenna stood on an elevated platform overlooking the colorful celebration and declared, "Light will always overpower darkness. Especially when one brave person chooses differently." And with that, a new generation was sealed. A generation born in freedom. Standing in purpose. Because one boy refused to inherit bondage. And life changed, forever.